In this video, we are going to explore past perfect continuous tense. So today we are going to learn one of the most advanced and highly misunderstood tenses in English grammar, the past perfect continuous tense. Now, many students become nervous when they hear this tense because the name itself sounds long and complicated. Past perfect continuous, three words together. And immediately they may think, is this grammar going to be difficult? But trust me, by the end of the session, you are not only going to understand it clearly, but you will also be able to form sentences confidently, identify mistakes easily, use this tense naturally in speaking and writing, and solve grammar questions without confusion. And today's session is not going to be a boring textbook explanation. So, we are going to cover what the tense actually means, structure and formula, why we use it, real life examples, different types and situations, and for practice questions with answers. Okay, so let's begin. The past perfect continuous tense is used to describe an action that started in the past, continued for some time, and stopped before another action or time in the past. Now, I'll just simplify this. A person started doing something in the past. The action continued for a duration. Then another past event happened. So that's where past perfect continuous comes in. It focuses on duration, continuation, and background activity before another past event. For example, I had been studying for 3 hours before my friend arrived. You have to look carefully here. What happened first? The studying, right? And what happened later? The friend arrived. So the studying continued for a duration before the second the event happened. That's why we use had been studying. Got it? Now let me give you the structure. Positive sentence structure. So it is subject plus had been plus verb ing plus object. Example, she had been working all day. They had been waiting for 2 hours. I had been reading before dinner started. You can notice something important here. No matter whether the subject is I, you, he, she, they, we, the helping verb remains had been. It never changes, right? When you see the negative structure, it is subject plus had not been plus verb ing. Examples, he had not been sleeping properly. They had not been attending classes regularly. We had not been practicing enough. So, in short form, you know, right? Like when we say had plus not, it's hadn't. So, she hadn't been feeling well. Got it? And when it comes to the question structure, so then the structure is had plus subject plus been plus verb ing. Had you been waiting long? Had she been studying before the exam? Have they been traveling all night? Got it? And there is another structure with WH question. Okay. So here, WH word plus had plus subject plus been plus verb ing. These are important grammatical format. So kindly make a note of it. Now we have examples here. Why had he been shouting? Where had they been staying? How long had you been working there? So here you can see the structure as WH word plus had plus subject plus been verb ing, because here this is the question structure. And do you know the reason why do we use past perfect continuous tense? You need to know that because that's very important, right? You may confuse past continuous tense, present perfect continuous tense, and past perfect continuous tense. So we need to understand the purpose clearly. We use past perfect continuous tense mainly for showing duration before another past action. For example, she had been cooking for 2 hours before the guest arrived, which means the focus is on the action continued before another event. Got it? And the second one, showing cause in the past. Example, he was tired because he had been running. Why was he tired? Because the running continued earlier. Got it? So this tense often explains reasons behind the past situations. And we use this to describe repeated or ongoing activity in the past. They had been arguing repeatedly before the meeting ended. So this action was continuing or repeating before another moment. Got it? And there are some kind of signal words that you need to be aware of. For example, the words such as for, since, before, all day, all night, for 2 hours, since morning, before the event started. Got it? And here are some of the examples. She had been dancing since evening. We had been traveling for 6 hours. He had been practicing before the competition began. So these words help indicate duration. Okay? And let's move on to the types of past perfect continuous tense. This is where advanced understanding begins. So the type 1 is continuous action before another past event. An action continued for some time before another past action happened. Here is an example. The scientist had been conducting experiments for several months before the research was published. In this one, which happened first? Conducting experiments, right? And what happened later? Research publication. So the tense highlights the duration of the earlier activity. And here is another example. The employees had been discussing the financial crisis for weeks before the company announced its final decision. So here you have to notice the timeline. The discussion continued. Then the announcement happened. So here the sequence is important. Got it? And the second type is showing cause and effect in the past. So this tense explains why something happened in the past, the reason that we have seen already, right? She was exhausted because she had been working continuously without rest. The cause here is working continuously, and the effect is exhaustion. Okay? And the third type is emphasizing duration. So here, this tense emphasizes how long, the duration. Okay? For example, they had been living abroad for more than 10 years before returning home. The professor had been teaching at the university since 1995 before he retired. So here, this one focuses on the duration, right? This one highlights long-term continuation. If you see the second example, had been teaching at the university since 1995. So this tells you the long-term continuation. And type 4 is a repeated action before a past event. So this one also we had seen earlier. Here are some examples. He had been calling her repeatedly before she finally answered. The manager had been warning the staff about security issues before the system eventually failed. And now it's time for us for practice. Shall we start? If you want, you can just pause the video and you can try to go through all these 5 questions and come up with your answers because it's simple, right? She dash before the guests arrived and work is given as the verb. They had been dashed for hours. In the bracket, it's given as wait. The baby was crying because he dashed sleeping properly. Not dash they've been traveling before the storm started. He had been studying dash morning. So for this one, the first answer is she had been working before the guests arrived, right? So had been plus verb ing. And for the second one, they had been waiting for hours. So again, been, had been, okay? The baby was crying because he had not been sleeping properly. This one is the negative, right? So not been. Dash they been traveling before the storms started? So had they been traveling before the storm started? Here the question structure begins with had, okay? And for the fifth one, he had been studying since morning. So this one is the long-term duration, okay? So you need to remember this powerful shortcut. Past perfect continuous tense equals to past duration before another past event. If you remember that single idea, this tense becomes much easier. Thank you so much for watching. Keep practicing grammar not by memorizing the rules blindly, but by understanding the timelines and the sentence flow. I'll see you in the next session with another advanced English grammar lesson. That's all for today's video. Bye bye.